President Bola Tinubu has inaugurated 30 compressed natural gas powered buses at the State House, Abuja, aimed to ease the burden of transportation on citizens brought about by the removal of fuel subsidy. This was as the chairman of Depots and Petroleum Product Marketers Association of Nigeria, Winifred Akbani, described the formal unveiling of the buses as a game changer for the transport sector. Tinubu has assured that the buses will help ease transportation challenges faced by Nigerians, especially in the Federal Capital Territory. At the symbolic ceremony performed at the State House, Abuja, Tinubu disclosed that the commercial vehicles in Nigeria will make up about 80% of the nation's petroleum consumption, costing the country trillions of naira monthly.
If we can enhance our energy competitiveness and bring about transformative changes like this, we would definitely be able to achieve the prosperity that we are working hard to accomplish for our people. These buses, along with the CNG and being convertible, is very encouraging and promising to enhance our transportation system.
However, some Nigerians are having a different view towards the CNG project. They say the world is shifting away from fossil fuel. So joining us now on the show to share his views on the federal government compressed natural gas CNG-powered vehicles in Nigeria is Air Vice Marshal Akube Iyamu. Air Vice Marshal Akube Iyamu is a climate change expert, president, environmental protection and climate change practitioners, former acting director general, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. Great to have you, sir, on the show. Sir, can you start, by telling us how viable is this CNG going to be in Nigeria? Because the concern has always been the major investment to even get it available in the first place. How viable do you think it's going to be?
Thank you very much, Rufai. Thank you, Ayo, and thank you, Vibai. Let me appreciate the good work you are doing. For viability, you had the lady who spoke there, said, though we are not there yet, we're going there. But you see, there's a very strong nexus between energy and transportation in national security. That is why every nation creates a broader effort to continue to search for effective and efficient way to be able to shore up its own energy base. Now, you have here in Nigeria, who has the largest amount of gas in sub-Saharan Africa and the largest amount of fossil fuel, second largest fossil fuel after Libya. Now, what are we going to do? You also live in Africa, where you have 640 million people have no access to electricity, and 970 million people have no access to gas. What are we going to do? What is CNG in the first place? You are just going to take your gas, which is butane, and compress it to 1% of its volume. Now, is it viable? The answer is yes and no. Is it very effective? Yes. But that is the cheapest source now if you have to transit. Notice the word there, transition. Every part of the globe now is on a transition phase. Some are very far, some are starting, and some are just beginning to move. After COP28, the need for transition became very, very impending for countries to move in that direction. But African and countries like Nigeria are arguing that, look, you people have moved very far. Why not allow us to use the fossil fuel that we have to develop in such a way that we'll be able to get enough money to be able to transit. CNG is not a new technology. It has been with us since World War I, 1914, when the Allied forces were being challenged. Then that is when they developed the CNG. Countries are using it, Pakistan and Iran. Iran is the country with the highest number of CNG cars, 4 million. So it is very viable if we are able to mainstream the technology and the finances the finances, that is very, very important. That is very, very important. So for now, the way we are, don't forget, in 2020, the natural gas expansion program was launched. The former president said we're going to make 1 million cars, we're going to convert them, fit and retrofit. Then in 2021 again, the Nigerian gas program was also commissioned. So these have been the broader effort to be able to do it. But the world is not moving in the direction of CNG. They are moving in the direction of renewable energy and alternative energy. So I believe that if we are moving in this traditional phase, our greater focus should be on the renewable energy, because Africa is less than 5% penetration. Less than 5% penetration. And we have all the resources here. Our lithium is almost about $1 trillion unexplored. So I believe that is the way to go. Yeah. All
right. So I hear you in terms of the way to go, but if you look at the reason why the government is opting for CNG buses, is what you highlighted already, sir, which is cost. The immediate concern of Nigerians is the cost of transportation, which CNG buses are supposed to plug. If you're saying EV, yes, I hear you that EV is where the world is moving towards. But let's analyze that against costs to Nigerians and the availability of power, to power the vehicles. Are we ready for that?
See, we should not weave our policy around our inadequacies and constraints. No, we must have a moonshot. We must have a moonshot. If you don't have a moonshot, we will never be able to go. But the interesting aspect of it, like I said, you see, the PICNGs, it said that, look, they will be able to bring transport fare down by 60%. That's okay if you can do that. But you see, if you are doing that, like I said in my earlier statement, there's a very strong nexus between energy and transportation, which has to do, you have inflation, which is 34.19. That's the headline inflation. And in headline inflation, you have 50% of it being dominated by food. So if this one can do that, but it is cheap, it is environmentally friendly, both of them are very consequential. If it is cheap, now if you compare apple by apple, a stretch of 100 kilometers, you are going to have the CNG cheaper, far cheaper than the petrol. But being environmentally, again too, anything that is cheap has consequences. Has consequences. 1, the pressure. 2, fire. Then 3, health concerns, safety concerns. Now, CNG, where you break down the gas, like I said, it's gas compressed to about 1% of its original volume, unlike propane, which is just liquid. When you compress it to that volume and you are burning it, you are going to have nanocarbon. And what's nanocarbon is very, very consequential in cancer. So if we are looking at the cheapness, we should also be getting the technology to look at all these other areas. Again, too, they said, look, the kit is, according to PICNG, between 300 and 600,000, with the contending national issues now. Well, how are you going to do that? If you bring it down, now there is no way we will not go in the direction of the electric vehicle. And to say that fuel will go back to the original price, that is a forlorn thought. Because if you have a weak currency and it's not stable, you already have two whammy issues. Because as your currency is going down, you are going to be scouting for volume of naira to go and purchase the fuel. And what are you doing? You are seriously attacking your foreign reserve. So if you go for a broader effort that will do this, then it's all okay.
All All right. Thank you so much. Your responses are extremely informative. Now, I know when the reveal yesterday of those vehicles was made by the presidency, there was reference made to India and how much inroads India has made with regards to CNG-powered vehicles, especially in the public transport sector. However, when we look at India, their plan was to become a gas-backed economy by 2030. They're struggling to do so, and they're seeing a reduction in the consumption of CNG, and for a number of reasons. However, the trend has been that although there's a progressive policy, they're not seeing corresponding factors with regards to production trends and consumption trends. So my question to you is, when you look at the current state of the nation and where we're going with regards to our short-term and medium-term plans, the policy says one thing, but do you feel the environment is indicating a readiness for implementation of CNG transportation?
Yes, like I said before, I said it's environmentally friendly, but it also have a health consequence. Take, for example, the whole of EU. EU is just about 1%, apart from Italy. Just about 1%. Now, if you look at it, environmental friendliness, yes, it's environmental friendly. It's a transition gas. That it is not the ultimate.
Sir, if I may just interject,
mark that word.
I just meant the business environment and the operational environment.
You mean the business environment?
Yes, and the operational environment for production and for consumption.
Yeah, for the business environment. For the business environment, they've told us that, look, we are going to warehouse about 2 billion and 250,000 jobs. That's very, very enticing. That's very, very enticing. But for the environment, for a nation that is on the race, we said, okay, in 2021, the former president said, look, he signed the climate change law. Now we said we're going to do 20% of NDC, nationally determined carbon, unaided, and we're going to do 40%. We will need international help. If you are moving in the direction, World Bank has advised us that we should use all available means to bring in dollars to our foreign reserve. If that's what we are looking for, the debt for nation finance is there. But these monies are not given just because you ask for it. There must be a conscious effort. So I believe that CNG is in that way. But for me, I still believe that the electric vehicle should have been the way to go. If you go for this plant in Aba, the cost was just 800 million. If you just oppose that into what we are spending there, I believe that we should be having that. And again, too, we are not looking at the infrastructure to mainstream CNG into people's houses. Before you came from your house to your office, how many CNG points did you see? So those are the things. It is potential, like the PICNG have said, yeah.
So let's even talk about the availability. And I'm happy you talked about the fact that you don't have enough stations. The gas we have here is still a problem because we have it in abundance, but we've not been able to tap for cooking. How are we sure that we are now able to tap for CNG when we've not been able to effectively meet our local demand for cooking and we have gas?
Very, very brilliant question, Rufai. You see, our gas and fossil fuel have been one of the most expensive in the world. Like, before I came in, I was reading this day newspaper. You know that our gas has almost plateaued out. Why? Because of infrastructural development. And if we must take it out, there must be massive investment. And if all these people are all going out, the IOCs and all, well, we should be able to access funds to be able to develop it. Now, the future survivability of CNG, why the other part of the world is not using, is availability of gas. Like I said, we are the most endowed gas in sub-Saharan Africa, but infrastructure is our challenges. Now, when the war in Ukraine and Russia started, that would have been an avenue for us to have forgotten whether they were even going to be cash-strapped or not. Country like Algeria, cash-strapped in it. If you check in the last 1 year, due to gas, you see that Algeria has increased their military spending from 7.1 billion to about 21 billion, all coming from gas. So to come to that, we need to develop our infrastructure. Don't forget, the former president promised 1 million vehicles, and now we are delivering 30. And I think NNPC will add 10, making it 40. That is a far, far cry from to ameliorate the challenges that we are having now. Gas is available, but you must ask the gas, can you exploit yourself? The answer is no. The answer is no. And the National Gas Development Policy says that, look, we are developing it first of all to be able to bring gas into the homes of everybody and to be able to make it available for industrialization. I think last year, out of the 3 million metric tons, what we were able to do, I think 1.6 or 1 point something, that's gas in the house. You understand? So the potential, we should start turning potentials into reality. You start turning potential into reality. Mozambique, that just moved into the gas environment now, what did they do? They are privatizing their gas by calling it the UAE to come and buy about 20% inside. That is another area. We must open up our hydrocarbon. We must open up NNPC. We must open it up like yesterday. Like ADNOC, Petrobras, and every other international oil opening. We must open up NNPC. Get investment inside so that we will be able to know the direction that we are going to and benefit from it the way the world is benefiting from their own oil.
All right, thank you so much, sir. I don't think I've been able to get clarity with regards to the first question I asked you as to how ready is Nigeria for EV?
What was that?
How ready are we in Nigeria for EV vehicles? I say this because even with CNG buses or CNG, we've talked about the need for conversion kits, for charging stations, for refueling stations, or regassing stations, by putting it that way. But for EVs, for instance, I asked about the availability of the electricity to power these vehicles, affordability. Are we ready for that at the moment? I hear you and I agree with you that we can have them side by side operating at the same time, especially if we're looking at where the rest of the world is going to EV. But are we ready for it now? Or should we understand the peculiarity of our needs and focus on CNG and then maybe later, whilst we are making plans for EVs?
Ayo, the world will never wait for you. I was reading, the minister was in Calabar, Minister of Power. See, look, the minister should stop sound bites. Tell us policies, direction. Where are we going with the power? You're telling us that, okay, 5,100 megawatts is what we are having now. We had that one in 1980 when, was it Akube? So the one in Delta was commissioned. That's when we had that. He said we're going to have 6,000 by this year. Stop soundbite. Give us the moonshot for electricity, for electric vehicle. Now, you see, like I told you, the lithium, which is one of the fundamental materials for renewable energy and electric vehicle, is present here. And 30%, you saw when South Korea, had to hold a meeting of Africa, 30% of what is required for electric vehicle is here. And in Nigeria, we have 1 trillion under the ground. 1 trillion under the ground to do that. So it is not whether we are ready. We must generate the internal energy, like every other person has done, to be able to go in the direction of this electric vehicle. We have people, genuses everywhere, having sound bites. I think one in Lokoja, another one in Meduguri. Look, the content development policy should bring these people together. See, nation develop if you headhunt and exploit the resources of your citizens. It's very important. And above all, headhunt for people that can drive this policy for you. Let's move it out from proclivities for primordial sentiments. And no, now that we are now, we have to headhunt for capacity and capabilities. Like yesterday, is very, very important.
It's very important. You know, earlier you made reference to renewable energy. I'm curious to you, especially as we've just been talking about the power sector and so forth, why do you think that Nigeria is not showing a strong appetite for renewable energy? If you look at the breakdown of our primary energy basket, renewable energy is still accounting for less than 1% of the power that Nigeria uses. Why do you think that's the case?
Now, I was very generous to say less than 5%. I didn't want to say 1%. Now, you see, for renewable energy, you must create the direction. You must create the enabling environment. And you must put capability there. Now, let me just give you an example of Singapore. Singapore was a rural community, a fishing community by 1965. As today, their GDP, per capita income is $88,000 US. What did they do? See, government have no part in business. Who create the environment? Government have business in business. A business in business. Our agencies, Nasenin and all, they should be looking at that direction. We are also carried away with CNG. Everybody is talking about CNG. 30 vehicles? No. Renewable energy with the amount of lithium we have here. And again, look, our Ministry of Solid Mineral needs attention, need to be given attention. 40 plus minerals under the ground. And most of them are the material for renewable energy. So we need to move in that direction.
But sir, we already have local manufacturers of what's it called cars now, battery-powered cars like Saglev. Why is it that the government is not giving them enough support? Saglev is just in the Ikorodu here. They manufacture battery cars, cleanest of energy. Why is that we're not giving them support? These other, Chinese people that bring also cars into Nigeria, they have a particular, battery-powered car brand they have. Why are they not giving what? I'm particular about Saglev. If there might be other many manufacturers of lithium battery-powered cars, but I know of Saglev in Ikorodu. Why are they not giving people like that support? Why are we not having government officials saying, Saglev, bring some of your cars for government parastatals? Why are we not doing that? Because it's not for the want of not having the technology. We have them on ground.
See, industrial complex, it is not magic. It's the effort, like you have just mentioned now, bringing them all together. One could be in Meduguri, one could be in Lagos. They don't need to be all in a place. What do? You harness and mainstream all their genuses and put them together. I give you a joke. Nigeria went to buy a car, an electric vehicle car. So when they told him the price, he said, "Oh, this price is very, very high." Okay, the seller told the person that, you know what, we are going to service the vehicle for you for a year, and we are going to make sure that we service it continuously. He said, okay. Do you service electric vehicle? And the answer is no, you don't service electric vehicle. It's a one-off thing. See, our university by now, the policy, the world as of today is 21% into renewable energy. So our policy as of today, educational policy, should move into that direction. I saw some children the other day from China already playing with diodes and everything. We are still drawing map of Amoeba and everything here. Our educational policy deliberately and intentionally should move in that direction. We are not getting money from the environmental funding at all, because we are not moving in that direction. And you see, hand over the environmental management to experts. Remove it from politics. Everything must not be in politics. Remove it from politics and hand it over to experts. Hand it over to experts. Let's see, we have Nigerians who are experts all over the world. A name that will be able to give stamp to your renewable energy effort. Bring them in. Bring them in. So once politics is over, governance takes the center stage.
But why is that it doesn't work? I'll give you an instance. Delilah Liu was the designer of Chevy Volt, General Motors, EV. But he has been brought to the automotive sector in Nigeria. We've not heard as much big invention like we expect with his profile in America. What's really going on?
See, like I said before, industrial complexes are not magic. They are not clairvoyant. It is the government that bring them together. See, as we are having shots from across Nigeria, bring them all together. What do you have? That's why Naseni was set up. Naseni interfaced with these people. Let them come in and let us drive this electric vehicle. Now, the 21% in the world, and we're having less than 1%. 1%. That is not encouraging at all. You cannot draw environmental advantage by that abysmal figure at all. Countries are drawing from debt to nation finance a lot. So what we need now is that government must get involved in business. They must get involved. They must create the internal energy of people. You must galvanize them and make sure and give them a direction to say, this is where we are going. This is the national policy on EV. Do you know the national policy on EV?
The question is, does it exist, sir? Do we have a policy on EV? I believe that the main focus has been on CNG buses. And even at that, you cited the National Gas Expansion Project since 2021. We don't know how far that has gone in terms of implementation or actualization of that plan. So a number of things, as you rightly said, that first of all, let's start from let's have a plan, a national plan with regards to this, which I don't think exists at the moment. And I'm glad that you're also making a case for EV alongside CNG buses, even though, when we compare in terms of emissions, costs, about the same thing. But the most important thing is the impact on the Nigerian people in terms of people who use buses. But realistically, sir, as we begin to round off, for commercial purposes, because that's the first area that the government is looking at, can EVs work? Would EVs work? I say this because the charging stations, the battery life, the number of commuters who currently use public transportation in Nigeria, can it work? Because it's not really the people who have private cars who are focusing on an immediate. In terms of the fuel subsidy removal, alleviating the costs, or the impact on people, it would be mass transit we're looking at. Can EV feed that?
EV will work. EV, did you say EV or CNG?
EV.
Which one?
CNG buses already been there. I mean, we have 40 currently, but EV buses, yes. And based on the Nigerian context, not the ideal. EV buses for mass transit.
Okay. EV will work if we fight for it. We must fight for it. Now, you see, we must continue, like I said before, let's not weave policies around our inadequacies. No, we must have a moonshot. For EV, Nigeria need a moonshot. We must go for it. Develop our electricity. I give you an example. In France now, you don't stop at a charging point to charge now. It's a 4-kilometer stretch. As you are coming, you just drive through it. When you are driving through it, your vehicle is being charged. If we can get $800 million facility in about electricity, that means it is possible. And with the opening up of the electricity sector, let's get the states involved. Let's get them involved. Like I said before,
sorry, sir.
EV will work.
Sir, that's why I asked for the Nigerian context. The ideal situation is what you have described in France. But we're still battling the challenge of powering our homes, businesses, houses with electricity. So it's dependent on having a robust infrastructure for electricity. And that's why I'm asking that question as to the practicality of it currently. I agree with you that in the long term, let's look into it. But the practicality of it currently is what I'm saying. And maybe to expand that question, I'll say what infrastructure ought to be on ground right now? If we say power, I think a number of Nigerians will be pessimistic about that because we've been trying to solve the problem of power for so many years. So how will that change because of EV mass transit buses?
You see, Nigeria is not in this state because of resources. Now, the amount of sunshine you have in a year is very, very tremendous. The amount of, you have one of the two largest rivers in Africa. So like I said, your lithium is almost 1 trillion. So what is EV? Is the batteries, the lithium batteries. That's what you're talking about. If we can partner with, say, countries like South Korea, which have their eyes on Africa, because 30% of the material is coming out from here. It's coming out from here. So we must create, yes.
But as we wrap up, because we're wrapping up now, in fact, I was told that once you land, we should wrap up, but it's easier said than done. And I'll give you a quick instance, sir. China had to subsidize BYD with $1 billion every year. In fact, at a point, that was the only profit that was coming in before they stabilized, and now they are the biggest, EV producer in the world. Do you think our government has that kind of capacity as we speak now? So it's easier said than done. The missing link is not only the lithium, it's the money. We don't have that resource on ground. We don't.
You see, you finance what is your priority. You finance what is your priority. You understand? If we block, see, the borrowing the other day, the EU, what did they tell us? They say, look, you have enough money. You just go and fix accountability and transparency problem. You have a whole lot of money. Now, if you do that, look at the governance and bring that money and create priorities. It's about priorities. You will have money for what is a priority to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate you for your time.